And that next speaker is going to be myself. I'm a bit of a Facebook ad geek, so I'm going to geek out with you for the next little bit about Facebook advertising and a strategy that we're implementing in our business that's working really well that I want to share with you. Okay, and that is, and the topic for this presentation is quality leads on Facebook do exist, how to use Facebook to drive leads that convert. So I want to give you a quick background on myself for those that have not seen me present before. My name is Jason Hunt, and I'm a co-founder at Merged Media, based out of Guelph, Ontario, Canada. Back in 2016, I actually founded a social media agency called Fresh Crowd. I merged that agency in 2019 with an SEO company, one of the best SEO companies in Canada. I say that because if you Google SEO companies in Canada, you're going to see a company named Casio near the top. That's the company I partnered my business with. And I'm happy I was able to do that because we can cross-reference Rolodexes and contacts. And now we have everything done for our clients under one roof, from their SEO to their SEM to their social media to their website design. So that's super exciting. But my background in marketing itself happened way back in 2007 when I used MySpace. Yes, MySpace at the time to help grow my mediocre rock band in Japan. We were very mediocre. I was a terrible singer, but by the simple use of platforms like MySpace and SoundClick, I was able to generate quite a fandom in Japan and was able to do a tour of Japan back in 2006 and 7, which is super exciting. But it was through that experience that I realized I actually liked marketing the music more than performing and making the music. So for me, that was my epiphany. And that's where I made my transition to digital marketing in 2012, working on the traffic side of the business for a company in Toronto. And in 2016, like I said, I started my own business and became an entrepreneur and started my social media agency. And here I am today, speaking on stages across the world. And today I get to talk to you guys live in Moscow, which is super exciting. So Facebook, why are we even talking about Facebook? Well, a lot of marketers out there, a lot of affiliates out there might be like, I don't use Facebook. Facebook's junk. The traffic's not good. Well, the fact is the attention is on Facebook, right? You're looking at 1.79 daily active users and 2.7 billion monthly active users. So there's a good chance that your audience is out there on Facebook. It's just a matter of how to get in front of that audience. First things first, you need to create intent. A Facebook user has zero intent. Their experience there is to go on Facebook, look at pictures of their friends, their family, their grandkids, their grandparents, whatever it is. They're not on there to buy something. They're not on Facebook to take time out of their calendar so they can have a consultation with you. So, people on Facebook they don't have the mindset to take those actions. There's zero intent behind it, unlike Google Ads where there's very high intent. Now, what's the most important asset you have for increasing your sales? What do you think it is? The most important asset you have for increasing your sales? You're thinking about it. I know you're thinking about it. The answer is your email list. All right. Ian just talked about it a second ago, the power of your email list. And we're going to dive into the email list today. And the formula is using Facebook to get people off of Facebook. Use Facebook to get people off of Facebook. Like Ian said there, Facebook could shut down tomorrow. You could lose your following, but you're never going to lose your email list. So get them over from Facebook, get their contact information, boom, get them over to your email list so you can start making money. And the way to do that is create a lead magnet. I love this approach. I love this strategy more than ever in 2021. We're crushing it for our clients using this strategy. And for those that don't know what a lead magnet is, it is an incentive used to offer a potential buyer in exchange for their email address or other contact information. Okay. Some examples of great ones that have worked for our clients are checklists. Checklists, for some reason, drive the cost of that lead right down. PDF downloads, market reports, ebooks, white papers, or videos. So we have clients, and a lot of our clients like to get their hands involved in this white paper. And sometimes it's like a 30-page document. Ain't nobody got time for a 30-page document, right? It's something simple. And the content of that lead magnet, it is important, but it's not paramount. What's paramount is the lure, the bait that you're using to get them into your ecosystem. And that bait is in the ad itself, right? It doesn't really matter what that lead magnet is, because once you get the contact information, now you can put them into your nurture sequence. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about that. This is an example that we used for ourselves that generated a lot of leads at a relatively low cost. And keep in mind, we're a B2B, we're a digital marketing agency. So the cost per lead for us may be a little higher than a typical industry, but this one seemed to work the best out of the several lead magnets that we used. And that's the reason why your Facebook ads aren't converting to leads. We typically like to put these in like a 3 to 5 page or something small, short and concise for our audience to digest. Another one, this is for a client of ours that builds modular homes. This is a thriving industry right now, at least here in Canada. Housing prices are ridiculous. So there's a company that's actually selling modular homes, similar to like tiny houses, but modular homes are a bit different, and people are buying plots of land and sticking these houses on them. It's quite a unique idea, but it's eye-catching. And this top 4 reasons to build a modular home in 2021, this received leads at $2.50 a lead, and these guys had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of leads coming through this lead magnet. Another one, this is for a company that's an event that's looking to target affiliate marketers and basically positioning themselves as a thought leader through top 5 most profitable affiliate marketing niches for 2021. Great lead magnet, geared towards a target audience. It's enticing and it matters to the audience. And it's almost like it presents that automatic sense of resolution to a problem. That's what that lead magnet is geared to do, right? Keep in mind, because people likely are not going to digest that lead magnet at the moment. What they're going to do is get it in their email when their mind is potentially in business mode or buy mode. And that's where they're going to consume your content. That's where you want them. You want them in email. You don't want them on Facebook where their attention spans are already short. You want to get them over to email. Now, the way to do that, this is kind of, I guess you could say this is sort of for beginners. A lot of you guys might be familiar with Facebook lead gen, but I'll go through that real brief here. Okay, so you just want to go to lead generation for your campaign objective. And then these are some of the custom audiences that I like. And the debate's out there for what type of audiences are best. We're constantly testing this. Lookalikes are still performing really well for us. Some people may challenge that and say lookalikes aren't as good since iOS kicked in, the iOS 14 kicked in, but it still is working well for our audiences. And but one thing that has changed for us, just not to go down the rabbit hole of iOS for a second, but I find that if you can just keep the actions that are taken on Facebook and create custom audiences from those actions that are taken on Facebook, the pixel activity is irrelevant. Right? So if you're tracking people that are taking activities or engaging on a specific ad, that's a great custom audience, and that's not going to be impacted by the iOS 14. So just, creating custom audiences and lookalike audiences around those actions that people are actually taking on Facebook is one way to get around the iOS 14 challenges. Okay. But I still love website custom audiences of website traffic, people spending the most amount of time on your site. Obviously segmenting customer lists is a great way to do it too, but not forgetting exclusions either. If you have a list of customers that you would consider bad customers or customers with low budgets, you may want to segment that list and then create a lookalike of that list and exclude that lookalike, if that makes sense, right? Because there's a good chance a lot of those people on that list of people that are not your best customers have certain similarities. They might follow Walmart or something, and maybe that's not a great customer for you. So you want to make sure if that audience is big enough to create a custom audience of those people that are not your best customers and an exclusion around that when you run your ads. Okay. Also video content, capturing people watching 50% of a video. That's a pretty warm audience. That's a great audience and prime for retargeting. Okay. And then people that have opened your lead form. Okay. I can create a great lookalike audience for you as well, especially if you're doing Facebook on lead ads. Then you want to set up your email campaign, provide the lead magnet immediately in that first email, and then you're going to automate that follow-up sequence. Okay. And then you can start building that relationship. Now, we're not here to talk about nurture sequences today. We have a method that we do. It's a 4-step drip campaign following that lead magnet. We can talk about that another time. If you have any questions about that, you can reach out to me directly. Okay. Now, I call this the icebreaker strategy. For anybody out there that's doing lead generation, I love this strategy. It's great. It's not going to convert that user right away, but that's okay, because what we're doing here is we're positioning you as that know, like, and trusted person, or know, like, and trusted product or service. That's our goal here. It's not to, hey, close them tomorrow. So you do have to deploy some patience when deploying this kind of a strategy. First, you got to do the ad testing. Obviously, you got to test a lot of variables. I personally love dynamic testing to test copy, headline, and creative. And then I find the winners, and that's where I'll dive in and double down on the winners from the dynamic tests. You get that converting ad, the one that's driving the lowest CPL, or it could be the lowest engagement or clicks, especially depending on how much you're looking to budget during the dynamic testing. Obviously, if you're testing for leads, it might take a while for you to reach that threshold of what's working, or for Facebook to get through their learning phase. So sometimes when you're doing the testing, you usually want to optimize for traffic, right? Or landing page views, okay? And then once you find that converting ad, and make sure, this is one important point, don't make it clickbaity, right? You don't want to have a clickbaity ad. You want to get them to want to download that lead magnet, but you want to do it in a way where they're not, you're giving them what they expect to receive. That is so important, because one thing we don't want to do here, and it's going to be really challenging to get people to know, like, and trust you if you create something that's clickbaity and just getting them to provide their information for something that they didn't really want. So keep that in mind. Contact info submitted directly on Facebook. Most of this information is auto-populated on Facebook. Now, what happens here is if you have a simple name, email, phone number that's auto-populated, your quality of lead is going to decrease naturally, because there's less work to be done by that user. If you want to further qualify the lead, or you're getting an abundance of leads and frustrated with the low quality of the leads, what you're going to want to do is add a couple custom questions in there that require that user to manually type in their response. And this is going to further qualify those leads that are coming in. And then you want to make sure you set up that email automation, whether it's Zapier or whatever platform you use for the email automation. You want to make sure that happens immediately. Get that email directly to them over, get that lead magnet directly over to them over email as soon as possible. And then we're going to start the lead magnet download, which is they're going to get that, they're going to receive it. Awesome. Great. And now they're going to be on your they're going to be in your CRM. You're going to put them on a list for future nurturing. You want to put them into a nurture sequence of sorts so you can follow up with them. And then once you have your abundance of leads on your list in your CRM, I always recommend following that 4-step drip campaign, drip sequence. Ian talks about 8. There's 8 emails, whatever it is. Once that's done, you almost need to give yourself a trigger, depending on your industry, to reach out to them over call or text or some other means of communication aside from email. Because that conversation that you have with that lead, it's going to be warm, right? Because you came at them initially from a place of providing value. And so now that lead magnet has become a conversation starter, otherwise known as an icebreaker for you. And this is great. I mean, specifically, maybe not around real estate, or maybe not around affiliate marketing, but in real estate, this is really effective, because now people are not cold calling anymore. Nobody likes a cold call. Nobody likes a cold call. I hate cold calls. Google cold calls me every day, about spending more on AdWords. And I'm just like, forget it. I don't have time for that. Nobody has time for calling anymore. So, at least if somebody calls me and says, hey, I saw you downloaded that lead magnet, I'd love to answer any questions you have about Facebook advertising. I'd love to answer any questions you have about tiny houses. It's a conversation starter. And if you don't close them, that's okay. It's another contact in your ecosystem. And, I always recommend putting them on some sort of a monthly newsletter afterwards. I really like that strategy. Just keeping them around, keeping you top of mind, especially if you have a high ticket item that's not going to close tomorrow and requires a lot of discussing with their significant others, a lot of consideration. It takes time to pull the trigger on a decision. Those type of campaigns work really well with this strategy because you're constantly going to be top of mind with them, and they might convert 3-6 months down the road. Obviously, updating your website. Facebook's always auditing that post-Facebook experience. So making sure that your website loads really quickly. This is important no matter what, because I mean, even with the recent Google update, the Core Vitals update, user experience on your website is so important. And the same thing goes with Facebook. They're auditing that, and they're tracking how long those people are spending on your website after they go there through Facebook. And if people are just bouncing off of your website because you had a clickbaity ad, or just because your website takes too long to load, well, your ad cost is going to go through the roof. So you got to keep that in mind when you're sending traffic off of Facebook to your website. I personally prefer to keep traffic on Facebook. Facebook likes keeping traffic on Facebook. So I like to grab that information if I can on Facebook rather than sending it over to a lead page. Here are some lead magnet suggestions for you. You might be thinking like, oh, what's a good lead magnet for me? If you have any questions about, coming up with that topic, hit me up, because I have a great resource that I use that's got a ton of questions on it to really drill down what that lead magnet needs to be. And it's all about understanding your audience and the pain that they're going through, because this guide will really help you formulate that lead magnet. So hit me up after this, and I'll be more than happy to provide you with that playbook. It's a lead magnet playbook. Okay. Now, suggestions for lead magnets, how-to white papers are really good. Aspirin effect. The aspirin effect is providing that immediate sense of resolution to a problem. Super important, right? Like if you have the answer to my problem right there in the form of a Facebook ad, I'm giving you my information all day long if it's going to solve a problem for me. And if it's free, right? It's a freebie, right? So I find that to be very effective. Exclusive webinars, special guests. Webinars always drive is a low cost lead. The only challenge with webinars is the attendance, right? But then again, if our only goal here is just to gather that information so you can sell them later on email, then that's okay. Just make it obviously a very it's a webinar that relates very well to the target audience that you're going after. Okay, it's enticing enough for them to provide that information. Okay, and then video tutorials are great as well. Okay, that's all for me and my presentation. Thank you so much, guys. I do Q&A, but I can't really Q&A myself. That'd be weird. But I ask you guys to do a couple things. One, go on and give me a follow over on Instagram. I love Instagram. That's my platform, as well as TikTok. Check those two out. I'm usually providing a lot of videos and value there. And more importantly, please listen to my podcast. I have a marketing podcast. I'm approaching episode 100, which is awesome. And I'm super proud of that, because one of the hardest things about a podcast is remaining consistent and getting guests week after week after week, and I've never missed a week. So check it out. We've had some amazing guests, amazing affiliate marketers on the Merged Marketing Podcast. Go on over and check that out, merged.ca/podcast.